Okay, so the files for today's lesson has been sent in the chat, and those who are able to view it clearly on the screen that I'm sharing, please view it there. And those who are not able to see it clearly, I have sent the same file. It's the same file. I've sent it in the chat so you can view it on any screen that you are using. So today we're going to discuss the final portion of the continuative particle, which is the remaining usage case. This particular particle doesn't have any inferential cases, so there is no inferential usage case that needs to be mentioned. The direct usage case, as we have discussed in the previous class, we have already discussed the first of the usage case, that is the conjunction case, in which we talked about two types of conjunction case. The first conjunction case, in which the two actions occur at different time, meaning that the first action becomes the initiator of the second action. Then the second type of conjunction was the of actions that occur at the same time, meaning it occurs simultaneously. So therefore, in those cases, two actions happen at the same time. Now, today we're going to talk about the commitment case and the connective case of other meaning than the one stated. So we're going to state the meaning in which the first one, the portion of a statement, is committing to provide a particular meaning, whereas in the second type, which is the continuative, which is the connective particle of other meaning than the one stated, we will understand that in that case, the very meaning is provided just as a meaning other than the one stated. So this we will discuss, and we have the definitions and everything. Okay, so before we begin, today we have, since it's the last class for the first session of the year 2023, that is why the verse that I have written today is dedicated to the author of the 30, the one who has composed the grammatical system that currently we are studying, who laid the foundation of the grammatical system that we are studying at the moment. So therefore, and this, so in today's class, we have 4 verses. So the first is a verse of dedication. It's a line of dedication, to Manjushri. So, and the translations will be provided with the new with the PDF that will be posted with the materials that you can find in the channel. So, so the first verse, so the first line is the line of dedication. So the difference between the verse of dedication and the line of dedication is that in this particular line, single line, it gives a meaning that entirely by itself is able to function as a narration of dedication. Whereas if it's a verse of dedication, it needs to be in a form of verse. So this is the difference between these two. So the first one is a line of dedication. Lama jambe la chatelo, which means I prostrate to you, O Guru Manjushri. Okay, then So first I will read the entire verse, the entire 4 verse, and then with each line I will translate it, and later the translation will be available with the PDF, with the next PDF that will be sent in the group with the recording. So Pyeongjong Songzen Chögi Gyabo Pep. So Pyeongjong Songzen Chögi Gyabo Pep. Tumi Lumbo Sangbo Po Yu Zang. Tseso Zeme Tsawe Ingsune. Lijin Kara Hari Sengerten. Gyagar Tadru Yiki Yangte. Pani Netan Lai Gudinkur. Tösam Gomsum Pepper. Mantu Tse. Yanda Ripe Nela Kebar Kur. Kanjin Yudu Kebe Tongmatra. Pui Yangta Seje. Pui Yangta Seje Tse. Yiki Tsikjor Njube Shinamze. Laba Gungi Shima Sabun Tap. Dichin Yiki Tuncho Drubtap Sel. Miri Ngo Di Miri Shimatse. Zuk Anu Pula Karinche. Kong Tumi Pula Karimi Chesam. Okay, so the first verse, the first line is Per Kanjong Songzen Chögin Gyabo Pep. In the land of Tibet came the Dharma king, Songze Gambo, to Milumbo Sangbo Po Yu Zang. And so he commanded the minister to me, the brilliant minister to me, to go to the land of India, the Arya land of India, without any hesitance for his own life. He went to live in the midst of the hot and humid land. And there he took lessons from Pandita Lijinkara and Pandita Haripasenge. And there he studied the foundation of the Indian grammatical system of Vyakran. Pani Netan Lai Gunzinkur became the one who continued the legacy of Panini and the language of the gods. Tösam Gomsum Beber Mountutse. He studied, he contemplated, and he meditated, and again he worked hard numerous times. And so he became a scholar in the fields of different sciences. So Kanjin Yudu Kebe Tongmatra, and was known as the first scholar of Tibet. Established the vowels and the consonants of Tibetan writing system. Built the foundation of the letters, the words, and the statements, the rules and regulations. Planted the seed that is the foundation of all the practices. And so illuminated, clarified the methods and the path to acquire happiness for this and the next life. So here we are referring to the fact that because of the establishment of this writing system, many texts from India on Buddhism were then made possible to be translated in Tibetan. And so the kings at that time also spent a lot of money, a lot of wealth to bring the scholars from India to Tibet, and then they attracted great scholars from all the direction by providing good facility, providing them with wealth, providing them with power, so that they would stay in Tibet and then establish the foundation of Buddhism and other sciences in Tibet. So therefore, this particular line talks about the establishment of the science of the sciences of the mind, which is here the Buddhism. Miri Ngo Kiri Shimachu, thus establishing the identity, a firm identity as a nation and the foundation of a language. Anu Pula Pula Karinche, O the son of Anu, which is Tumi Samputa, you are most you have contributed greatly, and Tibet is most grateful for you. Kung Tumi Pula Katimi Chesam, isn't Tumi Samputa, the scholar, the author, the composer, not has Tumi, the great scholar, not contributed greatly towards Tibet? Is Tibet not, or is he someone that has not contributed greatly towards Tibet? So therefore, these 4 lines are particularly dedicated to the Tumi Samputa, the author of this text, 30, and the one who established the foundation of the Tibetan system of language that we currently use. So, therefore, we understand that through this particular 4 verse, we understand a little bit about his journey to India, his determination, his great sacrifice that he made to go to India to study and then to bring back all the foundations, all the learnings, and then thus establishing the foundation which becomes the system of language that is still used and is still identified as the identity of Tibet. Okay, so now since we're done with the verse, let us begin with today's lesson. Today's verse, today we had a longer verse, and instead of dedication as a verse, we just had the first line as dedication, and then rest we just wrote about a very briefly about the journey or the achievement of Tumi Samputa. Definitely, everything here can be greatly elaborated and are done by many of the scholars in Tibet when they write about the history of Tibet. These are greatly elaborated and written in quite detail. So those who are interested may check them. Okay, so now we're going to begin today's lesson, which is about the continuative particle, and not only anything, but the usage case of the continuative particle. Yes, last class we discussed the first usage case, that is of the conjunction case. This class we will discuss the other two usage case. The first one being the commitment case, and the second one being connective case. Okay, so the first one, commitment case. Tamchal hauche. Tamcha means to commit. Tamchal hauche means commitment. Tamchawa means to commit. Tamcha is the commitment. So hauche is the continuative the case usage of continuative particle. Okay, so tamcha hauche ni. Sik ngame tamchawa. So tamchal hauche ni sik ngame tamchawe tuente sik shime silver. Sik shime silver chepate haje ki tsite ki ndewa tempala kogu. So tamchal hauche ni. The commitment case of the continuative particle usage case is a statement. So in this particular explanation of the tree of excellent speech, we have already discussed during our previous classes that we are going to elaborate or emphasize greatly over the idea of statement rather than emphasizing greatly on the particle. Meaning that instead of being super focused on the particles, that is, we're going to we're going to understand these particles as a part of the statement, rather than to take the particle and make it to be influential over the statement. So therefore, in our understanding of the statements, we will understand a statement as the focus of each usage case. And so the very function of the particle changes with each type of the usage case. So this is something that we have already discussed previously. So the commitment case of the continuative particle usage case is a statement in which the committed meaning. So since it's a commitment case, there's something that is committed. So here the committed meaning of the first part of the statement is shown by the second part of the statement, and this is shown by the usage of the continuative particle. So what happens is that there is a statement, and the statement has, like we already have discussed, that a statement can have various words, but it always has certain words which are known as the compulsory component. So here we see that there are three compulsory components of a commitment case: the first part of the statement, the second part of the statement, and the continuative particles. So we will understand that for each of, so there are variations for the commitment case, and the variation will depend on the variation of the first part, which is the committing part, and the second part, which is the committed part of a statement. And the word that joins them together, relates them together, make them into a statement is the particle. And so the very function of that particle changes with the nature of the statement. We will notice that for the particle that we used during the conjunction case and the particle that we're using during the commitment case are same in spelling, same in pronunciation. The only difference we see is the very meaning that it brings. And the very change in the meaning the reason for the change in the meaning is not because this particle is different here. It's because the particle is used in a different type of statement, which is the usage case of that particular particle. Same particle, different usage case, different function. So therefore, we will understand this here. There are 4 variations for commitment case. So any statement of a commitment case will have 3 compulsory components. First, the first part of the statement, the part that comes before the particle, the continuative particle, known as the first part of the statement, which is the committing portion, which is the portion that is committing, which is in a way. So if we can try and understand it in a way, saying like it is the part that is committing, that is saying that it's a part that states that I am committing to show something. And then we have the continuative particle, followed by the second part of the statement, which is the committed portion, which is the committed portion that the first part committed to. Meaning that the first part said that it is going to show is the second part, which is brought together with the first part by the usage of continuative particles. Okay, so tamjal ha jesu tamja we tuanshi gyumzen yewa ngetsik geshe jesu. The committed meaning is of 4 types: reasoning, classification, contextual etymology, and extensive explanation. So these are the 4 committed meaning. That is, each of these type of statement, the first one, the first portion commits to show or give a reason for something that has happened, or for some claim that it has done. The second part commits to show the classification, the types, the different types, classifications. The third variation commits to show the contextual etymology. And then the fourth variation of the commitment case commits to provide an extensive explanation. So, the first one, Yangchen Drubpay, tamcha alhaji jubetsi ngame gyumzen jubar tamjawar si chima gyumzen tu jembar haji ki tite te sum peju chebar tamcha gyumzen jembel haji ki jubasir. So the committed reasoning. So we understand that the committed reasoning, so it's a statement of commitment case, but here the commitment is the committed reasoning. So this committed reasoning is a statement of commitment case in which the first part of the statement commits to provide a reasoning. So it commits that it is going to provide certain type of reasoning. And so as it has committed, it has to bring a reasoning, and that particular reasoning, for whichever case it may have been stated, is the second part of the statement. So the second part of the statement, which is joined with the first part of the statement by the continuative particle, is the committed reasoning. So the first part in a way says that, okay, I'm going to, it's making a claim. It's saying like, oh, it's for example, it may, the first statement may be like, oh, tomorrow is going to rain. That is a claim. And so for every claim, if the reasons are unclear, it is required for the statement to provide the reasoning in the second statement. So the first part, in which it is a claim has been made, commits to provide reasoning for its claim. And this claim, this committed reasoning, comes in the form of the second part of the statement, which is connected by the continuative particle. Okay, so let me first provide an example. So, for example, me yute tua yubichir. Or me yute tua yu. So in this particular statement, we see that in this particular statement, it states that there is fire because there is smoke. In this particular statement, we see that the first portion is making a claim that there is fire. It could be anywhere. It could be in front of someone. It could be somewhere like the back of a mountain. So one is claiming that, oh, there is a fire. And that claim is not made because one has a certain type of divine vision or something. It is based on logical explanation. That is the reasoning. And so the reasoning that is provided for this claim is that because you see that there is a smoke rising, because you see a smoke is rising, you can say that because there is smoke rising, I can claim that there is a fire at that position. So we see that the statement here, the commitment statement, where the commitment is made to provide a commitment is made to provide a reasoning, is understood here in this particular statement, where the first part of the statement, as we see, there are three parts. The first part, the continuative particle, and the third and the second part. So the first part is making a claim. And definitely a claim should be supported by a reasoning. And so the reasoning is provided here in the second portion, which means there is smoke. So the claim that there is a fire is supported by the reasoning that there is a smoke. And the particle that relates this claim to this reasoning is this particle of continuative particle. And we are using this particular particle because the suffix of this name is ta. So for ta, it's te, me yu te, tua yu. So this type of statement in which we see that a particular claim brings a reasoning as a second part of the statement is known as commitment case, committed reasoning, or commitment of reasoning. Now the commitment of the reasoning, Nebar to Tango be Cheshire Sumni, Signama Gumzen Tamja, Sichima Gumzen Chuba, Tang Haji Gitsikte. Three compulsory components of the committed reasoning statement. First part of the statement, committing reasoning. So the first part is a claim, meaning a statement, a general statement that is like a claim, which is committing to provide a reasoning. Second part of the statement is the committed reasoning, is the reasoning which was committed by the claim. And then the third compulsory component is the continuative particle. The particle of continuative particles. So any of the three continuative particle could be understood here. So it depends on the suffix letter. It follows a name on the basis of suffix letters. So here we see this particular statement here. It states, there is fire because, or there is fire as there is smoke. Or since there is smoke, there is fire because there is smoke. So the claim is that there is fire, and the reasoning is there is smoke. And the particle that acts like a conjunction between these two is the particle te. Simkate lule. So simkate lule. Simka means being happy. Lule means singing. Let me provide a reasoning like this because it will become a stronger reasoning. Simkate Kadru chempe lulen. Because lulen means to sing. Normally, so it's in the perspective of the way Tibetan thinking goes, that mostly singing, dancing is done, especially singing is normally done when someone is very calm, in a happy mood. So, but then I'll provide an extra reasoning to affirm that understanding. So, simkate kadru chimpe lulen, which means that he, she, they are happy because they're singing joyfully, or they're happily singing. So the claim is that they are happy. Whoever it may be, are happy. But with that claim, one must also provide what is the reason why, what is the reason one is saying that they are happy. And the reasoning is because they are singing happily, or they're singing with great happiness. Since they're singing in a way that it shows that they are very happy, or they have great happiness, this reasoning becomes the committed reasoning to provide the understanding that someone is happy. So 3 components. First one, semka, the first part of the statement, which provides the commitment, The second statement of the statement, the second part of the statement, which provides the committed meaning, and this particle, which acts as a conjunction between these two statements. So, therefore, we understand that these type of statement are understood as commitment statement, where the commitment is reasoning. Okay, so the second type of statement under commitment case, yawa dembani, tamjal haji jubitsi ngame, yawa namjang jubar, tamjawar, tsikchima, yawa dembar, haji ki tsikte te sum, peju chebar tamja, Yewa Dembel, how cheeky, Chubasir. Okay, so Yewa Demba, which is the committed classification of a statement of commitment case. So here, the committed meaning is providing classification, types, classification. So is a statement of commitment case. So this type of statement is a statement of commitment case because the first part of the statement is committing to provide something. So it's a commitment case in which the first part of the statement commits to provide classification. So here we don't commit, so it's not committing to provide a reasoning. It's not committing to provide a reasoning, but yeah, it's committing to provide classification, meaning that the first part of the statement will be written in a way that it commits to provide classification, just like the first usage case in which we saw that the first part of the statement is written in a way that it becomes a claim. And since it becomes a claim, by nature, it requires reasoning. So here too, we will understand that the first part is written in a way that it will require the second part to provide classification. And so the second part is brought of the statement is brought as classification, the committed classification. And these two parts of the statement are joined, or the conjunction between these two parts of a statement is done by the continuative particles. So we must understand that any statement to be classified as a commitment statement or commitment case statement, first thing and the most important thing is that it should be a statement that is the usage case of the continuative particles. It doesn't matter if the first statement and the first statement is committing to provide classification and the second statement provides the classification if we are not using the continuative particle. All of these three components, as you see here, what I have done is that I have made sure to highlight the important details of the definition. Three components: the first part of statement, second part of statement, usage case. Classification is highlighted here because to show the function of this particular statement, and the function of this particular statement is to provide classification as committed by the first part of the statement. So therefore, the committed classification is a statement of commitment case in which the first part of the statement commits to provide classification and so brings in the second part of the statement as classification with the usage of continuative particles. So this is the definition of the committed classification statement. Okay, so like I already said earlier, the variation will only differ because of these two. That is the nature of the first part, which will determine the nature of the second part. If the first part is a claim, it will require reasoning. If the first part is in a way requiring the statement of classification, the second part will be committed classification. The particle has none, so it has no influence over how each variation of the usage case differs from one another, because you will observe that all the three particles are same. They are pronounced the same, they are written the same, but interpreted differently. The first one, it interprets as a conjunction between claim and reasoning. In here, it is interpreted as conjunction between the statement that commits providing classification and the statement that is the committed classification. Okay, so yewa dingbe tamja lhajila ngebar tu tsangwe be chashi sumni tsik ngama yewa tamjawa tsik chima yewa joba tang haji ki tsikte. Three compulsory components of the committed classification statement. First part of the statement, committing classification. Second part of statement, committed classification. And the particles of continuative particles. So, three compulsory components. The first part, which is committing, which is in a way written to emphasize that it's going to provide the classification. The second part of statement, which is the committed classification. And the third particle, the third portion is the continuative particle. So let me state an example. So here it's written, there are two types of colors. Primary colors, secondary colors. So there are two types of colors, the primary colors and the secondary colors. So we understand that here so the first one we see here, what it is a portion of the statement in which we see that in this particular case, we see that it is here saying that there are two types of colors. So the two types of colors, as we see, are the primary and the secondary color. So the color, as you see here, the color is stated in a way that the emphasis is made on providing the classification because it provides the information that how many classifications there are. So in this particular type of statement, the commitment is shown because the first statement provides us with the information that such variation is existing. And so it has an inferential understanding that, okay, since it has provided us with this information that there are this number of classification, thus there is a commitment to this statement that is to provide those classification. So two part of the statement. The first part, which is of the providing information related to the number of classification, emphasis on the number of classification. thus inferentially influencing to provide the classification. The second part, which is the classification that is committed by the first part. So kadolani, there are two types of colors. This information has been given to us. And so the second part provides what are these two types of colors: the primary colors, secondary colors. So here, similar sumte. There are three types of mind. So here we see that the first statement is giving us the information that there are three types of mind, and thus inferentially taking the commitment that it is going to provide these types or classification. This is the particle. So it states there are three types of mind. These are gevisim, the mind that is inclined towards virtuous action; migevisim, mind which is inclined towards the non-virtuous action; tang gewa migewa ge mige kangru mayim besim, mind which is neither inclined towards virtuous nor mind that is neither towards virtuous nor towards non-virtuous, in a way that it's neither thinking about something that is virtuous or something that is non-virtuous. So we see that there are three types of mind here as a very broad classification. And similarly, there are three types of action. Action, which are virtuous, which are non-virtuous, which are neither virtuous nor non-virtuous. So three. So we see that the first portion, it commits in providing this classification. Why? Because it is providing the information that there are three types of this particular phenomena. Okay, and inferentially, what does it tell us? It tells us that it wants to provide those classification. And so, where is it provided? It is provided as the second part of the statement. And what is the basis of classifying something as the first part or the second part of a statement? Is based on whether it is stated before the continuative particle or is it stated after the continuative particle. Okay, so this is the classification providing. This is the commitment case in which the commitment is to provide classification. So three compulsory components. The first component that commits to providing the classification, the particle that conjoins or acts as a conjunction between these two part of the statement. And finally, the second part of the statement, which is the committed classification. Okay. Third type, Nietsi Dembani, Tamjal Hachi Jube, Tsi Ngame, Tsila, Deshe Juber, Dei, Nietsi Tamjawar, Tsi Chima Nietsi to Jember, Hachi Kitsite, De Sum, Pechu Cheper, Tamja, Yawa, Tamja, Nietsi Demba. Tamja, Nietsi Demba, Dembel Hachi in Jubaser. So, the reason why I'm reading the Tibetan, for two reasons. One, because so that all of you will be more familiar with the pronunciation. Second, so that you could re-listen to it and then understand which word in English means which word in Tibetan. So, the committed contextual etymology meaning nitsik. Dempa, which is the committed, so tamjawa, committed. Dempa means to bring out, so to bring the committed contextual etymology. Tamjal hachi jube tsiji ngame tsila jeshe jubar he ngetsi tamcha par tsichima ngetsi tu demper. So statement of commitment case in which the first part of the statement. So the first part of the statement commits to provide a contextual etymology. What it does is that it commits to provide a contextual etymology. It in a way, what it does is that it commits to provide a word that conceptualizes the context provided. So a particular explanation is given, like as in context, a particular explanation is given, and then an etymology, a word, is provided that stays true to that context. And so it's called the contextual etymology here. So therefore, the first part of the statement, what it does is that it provides a certain explanation. It provides a certain characteristic. And so, since it provides a certain type of explanation or context, what happens is that it, in a way, commits to provide the word that stays true to that characteristic, to that characterization, to that context. And so, as it provides, it brings the second statement as that contextual etymology. And this is done with the usage of continuative particles. It is done with the usage of continuative particles. So the continuative particles here, what it does is that it acts as a conjunction between the context and the contextual etymology. The term, in a way, which stays true to the characterization. So, for this type of usage, one must be very familiar with the concept, which in Tibetan we call it Ngönje. So let me write it here because it is related to this. It's called Ngönje, which we have agreed to refer as, and as a translation, it can be referred as synonymics. So these are words which characterizes different characteristic, which represents different characteristic of a same word, and because of that different characteristic, it is named so. Sometimes also because of particular characterization that has to do with myths, with history. Like the sun in Tibetan, sun is known as Nima. But then the synonymic is also the Dunwangpo, which means the Lord of seven horses. So the Dunwangpo, or Namkemeto, which means the flower of the sky. or in some cases, Namkhen Norbu also, the gem of the sky. Namkhen Norbu also, which means the gem of the sky. And these are all synonymic of the word Nima, which is the sun. And because of different characteristic, it's called the gem because it shines like a gem on the sky. It's called the flower of the sky because the rays of the sun, in a way, it's in a way interpreted as the petals of the sun, and it's called the master of 7 horses because of the concept in this name comes from it comes from the name given to the sun. The Lord of the Sun, the God of the Sun, as he has 7 horses, which pulls his chariot. So therefore, the synonymics, to understand the synonymics is important if one is willing to use the statement, commitment statement, as the contextual etymology, because one must understand the context. Why is it called the Lord of the 7 horses? Why is it called the flower of the sky? Why is it called the gem of the sky? This is an actual name, and it's an actual name without any reasoning. It's a name that is an actual name because it represents the sun as a phenomena. And this is also a name we use in Tibetan, but then it becomes a designated name because it doesn't represent the actual phenomena that the name refers to. But it's a name which is given to someone with some sort of aspirations, like so that someone could have a wisdom that is as brilliant as the sun. So therefore, or someone who could be the light for everyone. So therefore, that is a designated name. But in any case, we see that for this name, we don't need any context. It's an actual name. Just like the name like Me, which means fire. We don't have any reasoning why it's called Me. It was the name that was given at the very beginning. Someone said, we'll call it Me. So it is Me. So therefore, these do not require context, but these synonymics, they require context. Why the Lord of the 7 horses? Why the flower of the sky? Why the gem of the sky? Why the sky gem? And there is context, therefore, contextual etymology. So therefore, first the context is given, and then the synonymic is written. So since it is born in a lake, it's called the lotus born, the lake born, which is referring to the lotus. Bema. Because this is Damleki. Okay. It's okay. Damleki. Because it is born from the mud, it's called the mud born. And see, it's the lotus. So lotus is also referred as the lake born because it's born in the lake. And lotus is also called the mud born because it's born from mud. or it's nourished by the mud. So mud-born or lake-born. So here we see that, so I'm highlighting it in red because it's not possible to, normally if you write it with your hands, what you do is that at the end of, at the below each of the particle, you write a small shape. It's like the moon with the dot. Those who are familiar with the Indian language, it's called the Chandra Bindu, which you see at the top of the Om also. So the same symbol we use as an indicator. So it's something that we use. We can use any symbol. So we use that symbol to indicate that something is a particle. But since I cannot write it here, I'm just highlighting it with colors. So because it is born in the lake, and that is the context. Why is it called the lake born? Because it's born in the lake. Why is it called the mud born? Because it's born from the mud. And so the context is provided by the first portion, first part of the statement. And the second statement, and since the context is provided here, it, in a way, inferentially, what it does is that it urges, or it commits to provide the contextual etymology. And so the contextual etymology, or the word, is provided here, similar to this second statement. Because it's born from mud, the mud born. Okay, so this is the commitment case of committing to provide contextual etymology. Okay, so the commitment case, now the last one, which is Geshe Drempani, Tamjal Hachi Jube Tsingame, Geber Shepe Tamjawar, Tsikchima Geshe to Dremper, Hachi Gitsikte Tete Sum Peju Cheper Tamja, Tamja Geshe Drempa. Hachi Gijubar Ser. So the committed extensive explanation. So here we commit extensive explanation. So we write, so we write something which could be, let's say, a small narration, a small statement, and then it requires explanation, extensive explanation. So in the cases where the statement of the commitment case, where the first part of the statement commits to provide extensive explanation, saying like, for example, we can say like, these days, technology has made things very convenient for everyone. Then because, now since we start with because, then is made everything easier for everyone, more convenient for everyone. And then we can start by stating the explanation. Then we say as or for, and then we write all the reasons why it has made life more convenient, life more things. It has made some actions more efficient, some work efficient. So we see that the first part of the statement, what it does is that it makes a statement, and then with the usage of the continuative particles, what it does is that it provides extensive explanation. So the second part of the statement, it provides the extensive explanation. So in that type of statement in which the first part commits to provide extensive explanation, And most of the commitment are not something that is stated directly there in words like, oh, I commit to provide extensive explanation. It is more inferential, something that you infer from the nature of the first statement. Like the first type variation, where the first part was a claim, so it requires reasoning. Second one, it was the second one, it was the classification commitment, and the second part was the committed classification. The third type was a context explanation, a context or characterization, as a first part does the contextual etymology provided in the second. And then finally this one, where the first one is a general state, it's a statement, and so it requires further elaboration. So inferentially commits to provide further explanation. Okay, so there are Geshe Drubpay Drubpay Thamjal Haji la ngeba du sangkobe yawasumni tsingama Geshe Thamjawa tsichima Geshe Drubpay Haji ki tsikte nation statement. First part of the statement, committing extensive explanation. Second part of the statement, committed extensive explanation. And the particles of continuative particles. So 3 components which are necessary. So let me write a very small example, because since it's an extensive explanation, examples should provide more information. But let's say like this. Zambulini now the queen there. So this is just a small example. World is like a home to us. Is a home to world is like a home to us. And then the extensive explanation is we cannot live on any other planet other than the Earth. Upon that, the Earth has all the requirements for life to sustain. Penna, solung, tang, chu, sashi. For example, oxygen, water, and the earth. So this is just a small example. Normally, when you write an extensive explanation, you have to write either 5 or 6 line paragraph, or sometimes multiple paragraphs are also written. sometimes it may be confused with the reasoning, because one might think that, oh, this explanation is in a way acting as a reasoning to the first statement, but one must understand that these are of quite some reasoning and explanations sometimes are of quite the same nature. So this is the commitment case of providing extensive explanation. This one is the first part of the statement, which is the statement, and then the particle that acts as a conjunction between these two parts, and then finally this portion of the statement, which is the extensive explanation. Okay, with this, we're done with the commitment case. Now this is the final usage case of the continuative particle. This is known as Schindelhauche, connective case of other meaning than the one stated. So here, the meaning that are provided are other than what is stated. So the thing is that there's nothing different here. The only difference is that the first statement provides a meaning, and then it brings another meaning, that is the second statement. And the first and the second statement are just different from each other. That's it. It's not committed to provide anything. It is not acting as a conjunction of two actions. No, it is it's simply two different phenomena stated in a statement. Saying like apple and oranges, table and chair. There is no particular, the only thing that is happening here is that there is a statement in which there are two phenomena written together. So connective case of other meaning than that one stated is a statement in which the first part of the statement brings the second part of the statement as merely being other than the one stated by the first part, by the usage of particles of continuative particles. So we see that the second part is brought in, and the second and the first part are just different. They're other, they're not one, they're not same. That's the only function that it does. And so it has three compulsory components. The three compulsory components of connective case of other meaning than the one stated is a statement in which there are three compulsory components. First part of statement, second part of statement, and the particle of continuative particles. So there is no commitment, there is no committed portion, there is no conjunction of two actions, there is no two actions. It's simply two names which are other, which are different. So Dini, mite, teni, hao. This is man, that is a celestial being. So this is man, and that is a god. So we see that we have two different phenomena, a man and a god, and these two are different. And that is the only thing that is shown in this particular type of statement. So two portions, first one is this, second one is this. Or we can simply just write it in this manner. No need to even use these bar. Man, God. That's it. White and black. So two colors, different phenomena. Nothing else. No commitment, no conjunction of actions, just two different phenomena in one statement. And this type of statement is known as connective case of other meaning than the one stated. Okay, so with this, we are done with the continuative particle. All usage case, all association with the basis of suffix letter, and the three particles introduced. Okay, so before I read the verse for today, so this verse is a verse, so it's not written by me. It's just a verse of auspiciousness. So before I start reading this, first of all, is there anyone who wants to read the portion of the Tree of Excellent speech? So do we have anyone who wants to read? Lasso, Amandala.
Can I just read two because I just memorized two of it.
Lasso.
Jochor namaralaki dabasaki kangaki adang tame idang yi piang yang ang sum gendu te gadabas sa cha tar te
so this you have to read again.
Sorry. Sorry. Gadabasa cha ta naralas naralasa Taryang.
Ngana mara.
Nara mala.
Mara.
Sorry, I was a bit nervous. Rala. Marala.
Yes.
Taryang. Adang tame angdang yang.
Most wonderful. So thank you very much. Very wonderful.
One more. Te sum gen hoa che te narala sa cha ta te ta te ga ba ga nga ba ma a Tame nam la sa te to.
Wonderful. Lasso, thank you very much. Very wonderfully recited. So some of the pronunciation, they will improve as you continue reading. But most of the portions you have read most wonderfully. So thank you very much. So do we have one more?
The last small portion, which is the ga. Okay. Ga, gam, nam, dam, nam, bam, mam, lam, sam, ram, lam, sam, tham, je, ju, te, chuchor, la, ju, kap, zong,
kap tang zong. Yes, that's so touching. Okay, so most wonderfully read. So thank you for reading the last portion. Now, does anyone else want to read? Does anyone else wants to read the portion, any of the 3 portion or all the 3 portion? Yes, please, Yurila, try. So,
Ramatan Gompojetsu, Jampiria Chazero on Arapazanati. Jotsu Nama Raraki, Tapasaki Kangaki, Atantame Itai. Kyanyang Ansun Gendute, Katapasa Taktal Kyang. Gana Mala Tak Gana Mala Laktat Yang. Atantame Antayang. Te sun gendu rakche te nara la sa takta yate. Tate kaga pama a. Tame nan la sate to.
Lasso.
Ganang kangang tanang pamang ang ram lang samtang jetute jotsu la tu jotsu la tu sorry jotsu la I forget.
Cup. Wonderful. So thank you very much. Most wonderfully recited. So for the recitation, so we will have this for today. Most wonderfully recited. Thank you very much, Yurila. Thank you very much, Amandala. So any questions regarding today's lesson? So the lesson that we covered today, does anyone have any questions related to the lesson? Okay, so can we say that these particles reasoning commitment different in nature with particles for the first grammatical case in that they not make influence? Yes, so like we said, first grammatical case, very special case because individual terminology. This is the only usage case which has a particular influence by the particle over the statement, and that is also the recompound particle. Other than that, particles will not have influence over the statement, but they will only function as a component of the statement and will be influenced by the nature of the statement, not the other way around. Normally, what we try to what we comprehend sometimes is that it's the particle. Usage case is all about the particle. No. Usage case is the usage case of the particle. It's not about the particle. It's how you use a particle in different situation, different context, different wordings. That's it. So only for the first grammatical case, the particle influences the statement. Other than that, no. And therefore, we also understand that all of the rest of the particles, they manifest as translation in English. But the first grammatical case and the recompound particle do not manifest as a translation in English. But it has an influence as it has an existence as an influence over the statement. Okay, Lasso.
I have another question, Kema.
Lasso.
Example, extensive explanation required for the particle, right? In, let's say I have a statement called Tiền Sang Men Thang Mi Mampo Du. So the particle followed by Sa Rempote, Sa Ta 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 Rempote at the back after the du, all right? Then after that, this is the statement. So at the back, so there is a required extensive explanation as why the main count has got a lot of people visiting it. Is that correct?
Yes, you provide extensive explanation why there is many people these days. How do you know that there are many people? To what comparison do you know that this is many? Like you can say like, oh, in the extensive explanation, you can say like, in the recent 3 or 4 years, there has been a rise of this number of people visiting hospital daily, you know? Things like this. Yes. So that is extensive explanation. And you'll find this particular type of usage many times in the commentaries. So if you check the commentaries of text, you will see these, because then in the commentary, they are required to extensively explain, right? A single line, they have to explain in many ways. So they use this particular usage.
Okay,
Lasso. Okay, so I think this is it for today. So this is the last class that we have for this session of the first session of the grammar class of year 2023. We began in January, and I think so now today it's the 19th of February. Until this sorry, not the 9th, is it 19? Yes, it's the 19th of the February. So we have most wonderfully finished this to this point. So let me check. My concept of date is very poor. Yes, it's the 13th. Sorry, very sorry. It's not the 19th. So you see, my concept of date, sometimes I don't know which date it is. So therefore, the 13th of February. So in this portion, we have studied few of the dependent particles. We started from the third grammatical case, subject case, and today we have most wonderfully completed the continuative particle. It is a wonderful sign by itself that we were able to complete a single set of particle. Now that we can, next time when we resume the class after the 3rd March, we can resume from a new particle. And then now you also have, every one of you have a definite set of particles. You know which particles we have already studied. So you can go check the lessons. So today is the lesson 30th. You can check the materials for the lessons, rewatch, revise, send me questions. I always appreciate questions. Anyone asking me questions, I appreciate all of you, those who are asking me questions, those who are sending me recordings also, and definitely everyone who's participating also. But questions, send me questions if you have any in the group or to me directly. And for the holiday, what you can do is you can memorize the verse. I will send a recording of the 3 portions already provided. I will send a recording of that, like we normally do, the fast and the slow audio. You can listen to it. You can memorize the text. I see that some of you have already memorized it till the 3rd portion. And eventually by the end of the year, you will have the entire text by heart, which is wonderful. Not only that, listen to the lesson, try to understand the meaning of each of these lines, referring to the recording of the class. Then most wonderfully, you can you have those things memorized in your brain. You have all the lessons in your brain, so you can teach someone else who would like to study Tibetan in the future. So therefore, please revise, please analyze, please questions. And so therefore, I hope you have a wonderful holiday. It is so, we're soon going to have the holidays for the Losar. Here, it's normally they celebrate 3 days, some 5 days, but here we have 12 days celebration holiday for Losar. It will begin from the 15th and it will be till the 24th. So therefore, it's a very wonderful holiday. So anyway, I will be enjoying my holiday. I hope every one of you will enjoy the break, get the time to revise, get the time to analyze, get the time to make questions, ask questions, exchange everything in the group. The group that we have, those group channel is wonderful. Group is where you share your idea, exchange everything. So every one of you belong to the same group of studying this Tibetan grammar. So you can exchange your knowledge, you can exchange the questions. So please enjoy the holiday, study, and I will see every one of you back in after we resume the class. And so we'll also be sending out registration forms. Every one of you will receive it. Those want to continue the class from March, please register there. And then all the materials are there. Another class that we're going to start is called the intermediate reading class. And there, those who have joined me for the basic reading class, you know how it goes. It goes me reading it 3 times, then letting someone read, feedback, new words, explanation, making sentence. And this is how we do this. But this time we have a very wonderful text. It's called The Eloquent Speech of Sakya Pandita. And those, every one of you, those who are going to participate in that course, you will get the invitation to the course included, including the group, including to the group and the channel. Okay, so I look forward to seeing every one of you after the holidays. Just because I'm on holiday doesn't mean that I won't answer your question. You can ask me questions. I will be ever present for questions. So thank you very much. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, wonderful evening. And I will see every one of you after the holidays. Have a wonderful break. And thank you. And Tashitele to everyone.